Welcome to Speech Night 2018. This is our 94th Speech Night competition. We welcome you all to our event tonight. And I'd like to have a few announcements if we could. I'd like you to turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate if you could. Make sure that they don't ring during the competition tonight. So make sure that you do that if you could. There is no flash photography allowed. You can take photos with your phones if you want, but no flashes are allowed tonight in our event. Also, I'd like you to all make sure that you're respectful of all of our speakers tonight and make sure that you give them all of the esteem that they deserve for this competition. So we're ready to start our event tonight. And the first thing that I'd like to do is we're going to introduce our chair of our department, Communication Studies. And this event is sponsored by the Department of Communication Studies. And our chair is a Communication Studies professor. She's also an associate professor of Communication Studies and an adjunct associate professor in informatics. And so she holds a doctorate, PhD, from the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and she is going to give us our chair's address. So welcome, Christine Karnick.
Good evening, everyone. So nice to see so many of you here and out there too, all the other rooms that this is taking place in. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you, scholars, friends, parents, colleagues, guests, to the 94th biannual Speech Night competition. This promises to be, I think, a very stimulating and exciting evening, full of great oratory and beautiful singing. I'm sure you'll all be very happy by the end of the night that you spent this cold and rainy Monday evening here with us. So a little bit about Speech Night. Hosted by the Department of Communication Studies, this is the longest continuously running event on the Iupui campus, 47 years. You're about to hear 7 of the best speeches created this fall. And to add to the excitement, you get to participate, of course, in the evaluation process. A great deal rides on the decisions that you will make as you listen to these speakers. The winner of tonight's competition takes home not only a beautiful trophy, it's up there, bragging rights, a nice resume line, and a cash prize of $1,500. So listen carefully and choose wisely. Before we get started, I want to take a minute to also thank the people who have made this night possible. First, your instructors. Please, would R110 instructors stand up? Can we have a round of applause for your wonderful, hardworking, and inspiring instructors? Thank you all. Your efforts are genuinely appreciated, so thank you so much. Next, thank you to the R110 leadership team, course director Steve Overby, who you already heard a little bit from and will a little bit more, and assistant course director Ian Sheeler, somewhere here. Ian Sheeler, they both together keep R110 running smoothly each year by coordinating roughly 140 sections and 4,000 students, and who have made this evening possible. And finally, I want to thank and commend you, scholars, R110 students, for making a valuable investment in your future by completing this course. Engaging in smart, clear, informed oral communication is a gift that you will use throughout your lives, even if you don't see it yet. The skills you've acquired will help you professionally, regardless of your major. However, for those of you who have not yet committed to a major, I have just 2 words for you: communication studies. A communication studies degree can provide you with the knowledge and a set of skills that are critical to organizations and transferable between organizations and even careers. Don't believe me? Look at sought-after majors and skills listed in Indeed and in Monster.com. I guarantee you'll be surprised at how often you'll seek communication studies. On the other hand, even if you have already chosen a major that is not comm studies, consider one of our minors. We offer quite a few, including organizational and corporate communication, media arts and production, health communication, persuasion, even theater. So don't pack away what you've learned this semester in the never to be looked at again box to be stored in your parents' attic. Keep it close by. Remember what a good introduction looks like, what it should accomplish. Remember how an oral argument should be structured, how to transition between points, and how to summarize for the listener so that they know what to take away from your words. You've been provided a great framework through which to communicate your ideas when you leave here and leave the university. Use it. You'll be glad you did. Thank you.
As we get started tonight, it's been our custom in the past of our speech nights that we've had to honor our prior winner of our competition and have that person be the MC and announce all of our speech contestants for the evening. And we are honored this year to have our fall of 2017 winner, and her name is Alisa Kane, and she is going to be our MC tonight. Alisa is majoring in finance and international studies. Those of you that want two majors, go for that. And she's also minoring in economics and philanthropic studies. So, wow, busy person to be here. And the only reason that I will confess this, that she was able to win last year is she had this absolutely awesome instructor. And could they stand up, please? Oh, they already are. It was me. Sorry. Yeah. So that, I think that's the reason, and she will tell you that when she comes up here. But when Alisa graduates, and I don't know if she'll ever graduate with all those majors and minors. I don't think. I think she'll be here for the next 25 years. But anyway, she hopes to travel Central Asia, and I'm sure she will do that, and work on economic development. And so she's got quite a chore ahead of her. But tonight her chore and her task is to introduce our speakers. So we're going to bring to our stage and podium right now, Alisa Kane. Alisa?
Good evening. So before we get started with tonight, you guys serve a very crucial part of our event this evening because you will be deciding who wins tonight. So we have a few housekeeping things to go through first before we can get our speakers up here. So inserted in your program, you can locate the judging seat in that center fold. And this was used during the semifinal round of the contest, and it will be used by each of you guys tonight to score and select our winner. So would you guys go ahead and take that out of your program and follow along with me as we review how to vote and tally those scores. For your reference, it should look a little bit like this. It's going to be a bit smaller, but it'll look like this. So I know that all of you are very well versed and know perfectly what the Monroe's motivated sequence is, but just in case you don't, let's go over it. So on the left column of your judging sheet, you'll see the areas of the Monroe's motivated sequence and other general areas of speaking. Tonight, your task is to judge each of our speakers and give them points out of a possible 10 to tally to a possible 100 points per speaker. At the end of each speaker, you will total that score out of 100, and at the end of the contest, when all 7 speakers have spoken, you will rank our speakers 1 to 7. The speaker with the highest number in the total score will receive a rank of 1. The speaker with the lowest score will receive a score of 7, and you will fill in the numbers between. We'd ask that there are no similar scores, so all the scores need to be unique, so no student can receive, there can be a tie of 4. We need to have all of them with their own scores. So we'd also ask that you judge tonight based off of your own preferences. So if you are a harsh judger, that's fine by us, but we'd ask that you are consistent in your judging throughout our competition. So if you'd like to be harsh at the beginning, we'd ask that you stay harsh the whole way through. Fortunately, I think our speakers are incredible and have a lot of things to be confident of. And so I don't think there's too many things that you'll need to be very harsh of this evening. So, if your instructor requires proof of your attendance at tonight's event, most of you hopefully have already done this, but all you will need to do is sign in on the tablets before leaving if you have not done that. If anyone else also needs a program so that you can be a part of scoring tonight, you can grab one of those. And lastly, at the end of this, we will throw up a SurveyMonkey link, and that is also on the bottom part of your judging sheet. You'll go to that link. We'll also have a QR code up here if you'd like to use that. And then you will put in the ranking that you have tallied at the bottom of your judging sheet. Perfect? Everybody understand? Awesome. Okay, so without further ado, if she is ready, we have our first speaker for the night. Her name is Lauren Harris. She is a freshman majoring in sustainability management. Lauren enjoys walking dogs with Sam, another one of our speech night contestants. Her instructor is Moffett Craig, and the title of her speech tonight is Indianapolis's Epidemic. Let's welcome Lauren to the stage.
Have you heard that sound this past winter / kind of spring? That sound is brought to you by the Indianapolis pothole epidemic. So imagine you're driving to your R110 class or work and you hit a deep pothole and you just feel your heart drop through the floorboard. Now whether you're a professor, student, the dean, or the mayor, your reaction is all the same, and it's horrible. According to questionnaires that I sent to my R110 classmates, 100% of those that responded agreed that the pothole situation in Indianapolis has gotten out of hand, and I'm sure this would reflect many of your opinions on potholes as well. So today I'm going to explain to you how these hazardous potholes form and the threats that they pose on you, your vehicles, and your wallets. Now, as a full-time student with a part-time job, I spend plenty of time commuting around downtown. Potholes have caused me to be in nearly many accidents, or I simply have to accept my fate and completely destroy the underbody of my car. This evening, I will persuade you that the pothole epidemic in Indianapolis is a problem, but there are solutions with benefits. So let's look at the problem for all. How do these potholes form? Well, according to weatherguys.edu, whenever it rains, water becomes trapped beneath the pavement. Then with rapid changes in weather, it freezes and unfreezes, causing breakage in the pavement. Then, after this process continues over and over, the pavement becomes fragile, and when large semis and trucks drive over this damaged area, the pavement is then broken off and moved. Considering this past winter we've had, you can understand why they have become so abundant. One day it's snowing, then it's raining, and then it's sunny, and then it snows again. Well, our salt trucks are trying to protect us, the driving civilians, but ultimately they are causing more damage. In 2009, Summit County engineers published an article stating that when salt is used, it lowers the temperature at which water will freeze. So whenever we lower the temperature that water will freeze, it allows more potholes to develop. But we simply can't just get rid of potholes. I mean, salt trucks. So now that you know a basic understanding of how they form, let's look at the severity of the problem and how this affects you. Provided by Indy.gov, this is a map of the reported potholes from August of 2017 to the present date on March 4th, 2018. And this is updated daily with the reported potholes. According to Fox 59, in February of 2018, They said if you've been out driving around Indianapolis, chances are you've had to dodge at least one of the almost 6,000 potholes in the city. Now that is a ridiculous number of potholes for a 361.5 square mile city. Now potholes can cause flat tires, wheels to crack and chip, suspensions to be bent out of alignment, holes to be torn in exhaust pipes or mufflers, and for low-bearing cars, they can scrape or even or their bumpers can be completely torn off. According to YourMechanic.com, in 2017, they stated that Americans spent $3 million just on pothole repairs for their cars. Now that's roughly $300 to $800 per repair, which comes directly out of your pocket, because the financial compensation policy for Indianapolis potholes is so strenuous that it is considered not feasible. And we definitely need a policy change for this. So let's look at one of the many solutions to these problems. So potholes are a problem globally, not just exclusive to Indiana. But many other countries are trialing different ideas to stop the potholes from forming at the start. In the Netherlands, they have implemented this idea known as self-healing pavement. It's an alternative asphalt created by a man named Eric Slangen. According to TheVerge.com, they stated that his asphalt has small steel fibers mixed in, which makes the pavement conductive. So whenever a large induction engine is run over this area, it causes the steel fibers to warm up, and then they will close the cracks on their own. This idea is also easy to create. It simply needs the steel fibers mixed in with the pavement and then applied and left to cool as normal asphalt would be, meaning that Indianapolis already has the equipment and tools to create this idea. So let's look at some of the benefits to adopting this solution. One, it reduces CO2 emissions for the city as a whole by lessening the amount of traffic for avoiding potholes, for avoiding accidents caused by potholes, and for the potholes being repaired and filled. ResearchGate.net mentioned that self-healing materials have the potential for significant cost savings for road network maintenance, meaning that we would save money, the taxpayers, would save money on repairs, maintenance, and labor for filling these potholes. In a personal email interview I had with Fatty Gadora, the chief financial advisor for Indianapolis, he stated that we would need $170 million annually to keep up with the road maintenance in Indianapolis. He also mentioned this past winter we spent $14 million on emergency strip patching and pothole filling, and that we plan on spending another $28 million for the rest of 2018 for resurfacing streets. Now, Wikipedia stated that the Netherlands have 2,193 miles of government road coverage, while Indy.gov mentioned that Indianapolis has 12,000. So they are roughly the same size. So this idea of self-healing pavement has been put on 12 roads throughout the Netherlands and has been proven effective for 10 years to date. Dutch officials announced that it would cost 90 million euros to cover all of the Netherlands with this idea. That is roughly 110.8 million US dollars. So if we are spending $170 million annually, when we would only need to spend $110.8 million every 10 years or so, why are we not making the change? I repeat that. If we are spending $170 million every year to fix our roads, when we could only spend $110.8 million every 10 years or more, why are we not making the change? This simply doesn't make any sense. In conclusion, the population of Indianapolis is dissatisfied with the quality of our roads destroying our cars, our wallets, and in some cases even ourselves. So now that you have a basic background knowledge of how these potholes form, the severity of the problem, and how this affects you as taxpayers and for personal repairs on your vehicles, you can understand that this is a problem throughout the city. So as Americans, we are provided with our right to vote. Please do not push this privilege to the side, because it is a power that millions do not have. So I urge you to think about the potholes and who is willing to fix them this upcoming election on May 8th. Following finals tonight, please find one of my classmates and grab an information sheet from them On the information sheets is a brief explanation of self-healing asphalt along with city council members' names, phone numbers, and email addresses. So as soon as you get home tonight, please email them or call them to express your emotions about this situation, because together we can truly make a difference. So I would like to leave you all with a quote by the infamous Fidel Castro. He stated, "I would not vote for the mayor, not because he did not invite me to dinner, but because on the ride into town from the airport, there were such enormous potholes."
Great way to start us off, Lauren. So our second speaker tonight is going to be Brady Smith. He's a sophomore majoring in pre-nursing. Brady's goal after graduation is to get his doctorate in nursing practice in neonatology. His instructor is Russ Kennedy. The title of his speech tonight is The Forgotten: What Foster Teens Face in College. Let's welcome Brady to the stage.
Look at her. Look into her eyes. Do you know what she's feeling? Can you see her sadness and despair? She and many more teens' futures are in danger right now, and their success depends upon your response today. According to the National Foster Youth Institute, only 3% of teens raised in the system attend or graduate college. I'm sure most of you in here have the luxury of parents, a parental-like figure, or a system of support that has gotten you to this point in your life today and will get you through the days going forward. Foster teens do not have what you have. Struggling in a class? Foster teens often have no one to help them with their studies. Stressed or hopeless? Former foster teens have no one to turn to for help. Does anyone care? I've done extensive research on this topic, as well as being adopted internationally, where I have experienced these similar feelings that foster teens face when trying to juggle the struggles of college without someone there to simply say, everything will be okay. Today I'm going to explain the issue foster teens face when transitioning from care to college, how the implementation of a mentor program here at Iupui could solve the problem, how all can benefit, and finally what you can do today to change a life forever. All over the nation, but more importantly, right here on our own turf, Indiana's foster teens are continually entering college but failing to succeed. Our state is saturated by foster teens unable to graduate college due to the lack of support and care a teen not in the system would have. Just this year, the Adoption, Foster Care, and Reporting System stated that Indiana has twice the amount of foster teens in the system compared to surrounding states whose population is twice that of Indiana's. For the foster teen, college is an elusive goal. Since many will age out of the system by 18 years of age, they're forced to think about survival skills, not college applications. They're wondering where their next meal will come from, not what college friends they're going to hang out with that evening. According to Ashley Williams, a former foster teen who now serves as a legal advocate in the system, these foster teens are just unfortunate to be in the circumstances they're in. They want to be successful adults just like you, but they need us to do that because they have no one else. Our community's foster teens are at a high risk for failure. But what does that mean for this university and our community? Because foster teens are unable to thrive in college, we too are unable to properly thrive. Jeffrey F. Millam, in a publication by Stanford University, explains that diversity in the university improves not only the student body, but also the education. We lose diversity when we lose the ability to add these unique individuals to our student body. Secondarily important to diversity is economic impact. A study done by economist Jonathan Rothwell proves that the more a community is educated, that is, a college degree, the more economically prosperous that city will be. We need to retain these foster teens so that they can educate themselves and continue Indianapolis's prosperity. Alexis Berry's bounced from one foster home to another. She aged out of the system but was fortunate to attend college. An article from the Pew Charitable Trust explains the end to her story. "I completely fell down," she said. I had so much to give, so many unique and diverse aspects to offer my old university, but now they're missing out because they've lost me. I just wish they would have helped me more. It's time for us to help, just like Alexis wished. This is what we can do to aid the cause. IUPUI needs to institute a mentor program where foster teens can obtain the care and resources they need to make it through college. First, let's take a look at what we model our program around. In an article, Out of Foster Care into College, Michael Winterup explains the great success Guardian Scholars has had at UCLA. This mentor program matches a current UCLA student with an incoming foster teen where they can be tutored, engaged in sports, and taken on outings. Just 5 years ago, Guardian Scholars had 250 foster teens in their program. Unlike the 3% that commonly make it through college, 65% of their foster teens graduated college in 4 years, and 35% graduated in 5 years. The program here at IUPUI would look very similar. When a foster teen is registered to attend IUPUI, their advisor would give them the opportunity to seek guidance from their program. Upon their acceptance, the advisor could then contact a director of the program who would match, hopefully, one of you with the incoming foster teen. There would be some informal training so that you know how to deal with a foster teen, but the commitment would likely be no more than 2 to 3 hours per week where you could tutor the teen, engage them in outings, and just provide them the emotional support they need. When we bring a program like this to IUPUI, just imagine the impact it would have. This program would above all give your fellow peers the ability to succeed. Just imagine this with me right now. With all the statistics put aside, all the odds are against you. School, work, pressure, anxiety, snap. It's all over. Your dreams are crushed forever. That's what the foster teen feels in college. They feel unseen and they feel unheard. A mentor program at IUPUI not only benefits the foster teen by making their dreams a reality, but it gives you the opportunity to help a fellow human being out 2 to 3 hours per week, which will give you an unbelievable amount of self-pride and satisfaction. This is Bianca Bacara. Before Bianca ever found Guardian Scholars, she felt a lot of isolation, pain, and uncertainty because no one was there for her when she needed someone, and she knew she wasn't going to make it through college alone. However, after Bianca entered Guardian Scholars, her life changed forever because her mentors were there with her every step of the way and showed her the love she had never seen before. Too many foster teens are slipping through the cracks of society and losing their once held to dreams. Because they are unable to succeed, this university and our community is also unable to succeed in its entirety. We need to stop this. We need to be the difference we want to see in the world. I want you right now to get out your phones and visit the website on the screen. Briefly read what your signing the petition means and add your name and email in the given boxes. Finally, click Sign the Petition. I presented to you the great care and need for the foster teens in our community. I've told you about the issues that can root from this problem and what it would look like if this problem were fixed. I presented to you a lot of facts, numbers, and stories, but let me end on this word. The quickest way to make a difference, to change a life, to change the world, is to be of service to those in need. Show that your love and care can make a difference in the lives of others, and thereby someone else's love can make a difference in your life. Knowing about the problem is not enough. We must apply. Willing to help is not enough. We must do. We must act now.
Wonderful job, Brady. Our third speaker for the evening is Sam Sapeniak. She is a freshman majoring in mechanical engineering. Sam wants to go skydiving after graduation and travel the world. Her instructor is Russ Kennedy, and her speech is entitled it is life or death. Let's welcome Sam to the stage.
On March 29, 2018, just before 8 a.m., before many of us were even awake or considering the possibilities of what lies in the day ahead, one of our fellow students, someone we walk by in the hallways who feels the same stresses of college, was stabbed not only once, but twice. And what's worse, her attacker got away. Unseized and armed, he could still loom over this campus today. In our buildings, our hallways, even our classrooms. If it could happen to her, it can happen to you. And if it can happen to anyone, then we all need to be prepared. No matter what college or university you attend, campus crime is imminent. But you don't have to be afraid of what lies around the corner. Campus Crime by Bonnie Fisher and John Sloan states a study done by Towson State University's Crime Prevention Center that revealed that 40% of college students were a victim of crime by the time they graduated college. And when I surveyed my speech class, I found that 50% had said that they felt unsafe on campus, with only 60% feeling absolutely positive that they would be able to protect themselves in any life-threatening situations. After an extensive amount of research, and due to the extreme number of unprovoked attacks that occur each year, I will ensure that you don't have to be afraid on campus. Today, I will stress the importance of being prepared for whatever may come your way by revealing to you that anyone can be a victim of crime, how many are unable to protect themselves, and how campuses often have higher crime rates than their surrounding areas. Anyone can be a victim of crime, and this doesn't exclude faculty. I want you all to think about Iupui. It's a busy campus with all sorts of people. There's professors, students, even strangers. The same doors that are open to you and I without a key are open for anyone in the public to just walk right on in, meaning everyone has access to the majority of our buildings. Campus Crime the book notes that though unexpected, faculty who work on campuses are often a higher target for criminals than students. They have a strict schedule. Oftentimes they go from home to work and then they return home. Unlike students who not only go to school to learn and study, but they also go to eat, attend events, as well as socialize, making it harder to track and follow their schedule. Crime in the university district still notes, however, that students are moving targets, meaning that they can walk right into an open and crowded room and walk right past the criminal and not even notice it. It may even been someone they held the door open for, or someone that they talked to in passing. Crime theory on the streets notes two components to those who are victimized. The first is target attractiveness. Now, I'm not talking about how hot or beautiful a person is, but rather what value they will be to the criminal. The second is accessibility, this being ease of access, visibility, as well as the absence of a guardian. Anyone can be a victim of crime, and many studies have shown that Americans are unable to protect themselves in any life-threatening situation. How Americans protect themselves from crime revealed that less than 14% of Americans carry any means of protection on them, such as mace or pepper spray, when out in public. This same source also reveals that the difference between a victim and a non-victim is those who take the means to prepare themselves for whatever may come their way. Oftentimes, as college students, we find ourselves surrounded by crime. I know you and I all hear the statistics of attacks that occur on campus, such as rapes, assaults, things of the sort that not only occur on our campus, but on campuses nationwide. But we have the mindset that it can't and it won't happen to us. So we take no means to protect ourselves, and this mindset leaves many vulnerable. And studies have shown that crime rates on campus are actually higher than their surrounding areas. According to crime rates in 2018, there are 63% of aggravated assaults that occur on campus, as well as 94% of burglaries and 88% of sex offenses when compared to the surrounding area. The biggest issue that we're dealing with today is property crimes. According to Protecting Students from Theft, Damage, and Loss, these crimes don't only occur on larger campuses, but as well as smaller institutions, meaning that they truly can happen anywhere and any time. Crime theory on the streets also notes two theories for when a criminal might attack. The first is the routine activity theory. This means a criminal will attack at a specific time and place based on their target's schedule. The second is the rational choice theory, meaning a criminal will attack whenever a good opportunity presents itself. Though the eradication of campus crime is one that escapes current day topic, there should be no lack of readiness should such a situation arise. Benjamin Franklin once stated that by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. How prepared you are for a certain situation can ultimately affect the outcome. I want you all to think about all the times when you're alone on IUPUI's campus. Now rethink that. All the times when you're alone on IUPUI's campus, only you are able to protect yourself should you be attacked. Now I also want you to picture this. You're walking out of your evening class and you start to get that uneasy feeling that you're being followed. You glance behind you and notice a dark figure, but you rationalize it's probably just another IUPUI student. But as you get closer to your car, they corner you and demand that you give them both your backpack as well as your car keys. Or, if you were prepared for the situation, you could have played an audible alarm that could have drawn the attention of everyone within the surrounding area, and this could have caused the criminal to flee for the fear of being caught. How prepared you are can actually affect whether or not you come out of a situation harmed or even alive. Every day, I know we find ourselves taking means to study and do our homework, all as means to better ourselves and get better grades, and not only better grades, but to ensure that we have a better future. So why not take a minute to prepare ourselves for whatever may come our way to ensure our overall well-being and the overall hope for our futures? Oftentimes, when there's an attack, the only two parties that are present are you and the attacker. This leaves only you to defend yourself. So today, I'm stressing to you that you download the Be Safe app. This app allows you to connect with your community to ensure that you will be safe no matter what comes your way. No one can guarantee that you will not be the next victim of crime. You don't want to regret the strides and measures that you did not take to protect yourselves, because oftentimes when you begin to regret it, in that moment, it's too late. Download this app. You would it for the next Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter. Download it because it could save your life. This app is equipped with an audible alarm that not only will signal the attention of people around you, but it will also send a notification to your family and friends saying that you are in danger. It will also begin recording both audio and visual feedback of what's going on in the situation, in hopes of catching the criminal. It's also for the times when you just feel uncomfortable walking home alone on campus. You can notify a friend that you're heading back to your dorm. They can then track you through the app's live GPS. And once you get back home safely, they will receive a notification that you made it back okay. Campus crime is something that's not going away soon, and all it takes is a matter of seconds to download this app. Just go on your phone and type Be Safe into the search bar, and it will be installed on your phone within a matter of a minute. And I know we all carry our phones with us everywhere, so why not just take a second to ensure that they could protect us should we need them to. These crimes play mercy to no one. Take a moment to download this app because it could be a matter of life and death.
That was over. Wonderful presentation, Sam. So just a reminder, you should be filling out your judging sheet tonight, giving those scores out of 10. We are through 3, and we have 4 more to go. So, our fourth speaker for the evening is Abigail Hadley. She is a senior pursuing a double major, BS in biology and a BA in sociology. Abigail will be attending IU School of Medicine's MD program after graduation. Her instructor is Desiree Burdett. The title of her speech tonight is Curtailing the Empathy Drop in Medical Students. Let us all welcome Abigail to the stage.
Canadian physician and one of the founding professors of Johns Hopkins Hospital, William Osler, once said, "It is much more important to know what sort of patient has a disease than what sort of disease a patient has." Think back to the last time you were a patient. Were you treated as someone in need of care, or were you treated as a disease that needed to be fixed? How would you want to be treated? As someone who will be attending medical school this fall, I feel that it is important to address a phenomenon that is affecting medical schools across the nation, and that is that medical students are experiencing a significant drop in empathy while they're in school. All U.S. medical schools need to have a policy in place that can address the mental and emotional needs of their students in order to graduate more empathetic doctors. So as stated before, the empathy drop problem is something that is affecting medical schools across the nation, and it can result in new doctors who are struggling to empathize with their patients. Separate studies done by the Boston University School of Medicine and by the University of Western Sydney followed medical students from their first year to their fourth year. Both studies came to two major conclusions. The first was that first-year students have the highest empathy scores, while fourth-year students have the lowest. The second conclusion was that the decline in empathy begins as soon as the first year of medical school, but that the biggest drop is seen during the third year. This also happens to be when students are having their first significant contact with patients. Both of these conclusions show that there is an inverse relationship between years of education and empathy. When you have medical students who go through school and begin losing their empathy, you graduate less empathetic doctors. And the dangers of this can be shown by a study conducted by the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine. They showed that doctors who reported a decrease in their empathy showed an increase in major medical errors. And another study conducted by the University of Western Sydney found that less empathetic doctors have higher malpractice claims and worse patient outcomes. So now that you understand the incredible consequences of this, you see that it's not something that can go ignored. I am proposing a policy with 3 parts, and the first part is addressing the mental health of students and how stress affects empathy. It's no question that medical school puts severe stress on medical students. And a study conducted by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention found that medical students are 5 times more likely to suffer from depression as the general population. 11% reported thoughts of suicide, compared to only 3.9% in the general population. And of those who reported being in mental distress, only 15% sought out help. The ones who didn't seek help said that they were afraid of being seen as less intelligent, less incompetent, and afraid they would be seen as a threat to the patients they would treat. All of this culminates into one very unfortunate fact, and that is that medical students are 3 times more likely to kill themselves, according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So after all this, it really is no wonder that a medical student is having a very difficult time showing compassion towards others if they are rapidly losing the compassion they have for themselves. That is why medical schools need to have psychological services both readily available and accessible while running advocacy and educational campaigns to combat the stigma that is keeping these students from getting the help they need. The second part involves curriculum. Curriculum changes need to be made to allow students to reflect on what they are going through. This is especially important to the third-year students, who, as you will remember, see the biggest drop in empathy. This is partly because these students are exposed to a lot of death and sickness, and they can react to that by trying to wall themselves off. A study done by Meridian Health showed that when you give students the space and means to reflect on what they are going through, you help curb that empathy drop. Dr. Sharon at Columbia University uses a technique called narrative medicine. As the name implies, students are able to write out all of their emotions, their experiences, their thoughts in the form of a story. And in her experience, it's helped her students better retain their empathy. And this is just one technique. There are so many others that med schools could implement. The final part is evaluation. The best way to see if these changes are actually effective is to ask patients and get their feedback. This can tell medical schools if further changes need to be made. So after all this, it becomes pretty clear that the empathy drop problem affects everyone, be they medical students, doctors, and especially patients. But addressing this issue offers incredible benefits, and these benefits exist on multiple levels. The first being the doctor-patient relationship, which is the cornerstone to high-quality healthcare. And according to the University of Michigan Medical Center, more empathetic doctors are better able to both establish and maintain a healthy doctor-patient relationship, and this leads to better health for the patients. Doctors also stand to benefit from this. More empathetic doctors experience less stress, less cynicism, and less burnout, according to the Institute for Cognitive Neurology. In another study conducted at multiple German hospitals, doctors with higher empathy have higher job satisfaction. So what does this mean for all of you? Well, you don't need to be a medical student, and you don't need to work for a medical school to make your voice on this topic heard. The most important thing you can do by far is if you are seeing a doctor and they are not giving you the care you need, go somewhere else. Whether you like it or not, healthcare is run as a business, and money talks. You do have power as both a patient and consumer, and your voice will be heard. Second, give feedback. There are a lot of online review sites that are completely free, and there are almost always means through a doctor's workplace where you can give feedback. These changes started being made because of feedback from patients, so do not underestimate the power of your feedback. And finally, our own IUPUI Director of Medical Humanities, Emily Beckman, actually teaches narrative medicine down to the IU Med students. Supporting the medical humanities helps ensure that she is able to keep doing this and that we graduate more empathetic Indiana doctors. So during this speech, I've told you about the empathy drop problem, its severe consequences, how it can be addressed, and what all of us stand to gain from it. And I hope you realize that this is important, because health is not just a physiological condition. It encompasses the entirety of the person. And we need empathetic doctors who are able to look beyond just the physical, who can truly connect with and heal the people in their care. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Abigail. So our fifth speaker of the evening is Charisma Mcmurray. She is a freshman majoring in business management and human resource management. Charisma intends to pursue a career in business and buy and support her very own Yorkie upon graduation. Her instructor is Roger Johnson.
Okay, cool, got it.
And the title of her speech tonight is Monopoly, the Disney edition. Let's welcome Charisma to the stage.
Hi, my name's Charisma. And you're watching Disney Channel. Now, whether we want to admit it or not, most of us in this room have done this introduction in front of our mirrors. We've gotten into arguments about whether old Disney is better than new Disney, and we're constantly saving up money for the latest Disney production. As a Disney fan myself, I'm one of the first people online to throw my money at them. But as a business major, I have an obligation to question their actions in the economy from a more ethical standpoint. All of us here today have contributed to Disney's growth by watching their movies, going to Disney World, or buying their merchandise. But tonight, I invite you to be my guest as I give you a better understanding of the problem with Disney's growth, the solution to that problem, the happy ever after, and how you can go from zero to hero just like that. Now, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a monopoly is defined as exclusive possession or control. In the late 1800s, monopolies were a common occurrence, from John Rockefeller's Standard Oil to Andrew Carnegie's Steel Company. These business operations prompted Congress to pass the Sherman Antitrust Law, the first law in our nation's history that limited how much power a single company could possess. However, today, with the Walt Disney Company, there's just no telling just how far they'll go. But luckily for you all, I've analyzed their assets, which are the properties and studios that they currently own, so that we can better understand this issue. So, what else can I say except, you're welcome. According to the Walt Disney Company, they currently operate from infinity to beyond, with media networks including ESPN, Freeform, ABC, and of course their various Disney channels. They operate in studio entertainment where they own 9 movie studios, but the most noteworthy of that collection includes Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, and Pixar. They operate 8 Walt Disney World parks and resorts worldwide, and their consumer products division is in charge of creating just about any type of merchandise Disney can make a profit off of. Then, in 2017, NPR reported that Disney had reached a deal with 21st Century Fox to acquire a multitude of that company's assets for themselves. From this deal, the New York Times found that Disney would be getting gadgets and gizmos aplenty, including Blue Sky Studios, who's responsible for the Ice Age movies, TV networks FX and National Geographic, a controlling stake in Hulu, as well as the rights to the X-Men, The Simpsons, American Horror Story, and the list goes on. Are you not overwhelmed? Oh wait, that's not Disney's property yet. But clearly, Disney just can't wait to be king, despite how much it has been hurting their competitors. Their acquisition from Fox reduced that company's assets significantly, leaving them only with their news outlets. The purchase of individual movie studios has allowed them to dominate in the movie industry, and their continued expansion is preparing them to enter the streaming service to crush new competitors. Which actually reminds me, mirror, mirror in my hand, who has the best streaming service in the land? Netflix, of course, but there's one even fairer than me, called Disney. Now, when Disney announced that they would be pulling all of their content off of Netflix by 2019, according to NBC News, Netflix's shares dropped over 5%, which may not seem like a lot, but it shows that Disney has the potential to steal away Netflix's customers from themselves. But throughout all of this growth, our government has remained silent, and so we, the people, need to be prepared for what's coming next. But seriously though, all jokes aside, I'm going on a limb here because I want to see Avengers Infinity War next weekend, this weekend actually, but saying all this negative stuff about Disney might just get me banned. But if I've learned anything from watching Mulan, it's that I have to remain true to who I am. Therefore, I propose that the Antitrust Division institute a specific guideline that states the maximum amount of assets a company can possess and prohibit expansion from that point on. The Antitrust Division is run by our Department of Justice, and they can accomplish this because it is their job to promote economic competition in the United States economy. To satisfy this responsibility, they created the Horizontal Merger Guidelines in 2010. These guidelines outline how they will evaluate potentially harmful business expansions and punish them accordingly. However, these guidelines need to be updated because they are prone to exploitation from companies like Disney with an army of lawyers behind them. Therefore, by instituting this specific amendment, they'll be able to close the loopholes that currently exist that allow companies to outmaneuver those poor, unfortunate souls at the Department of Justice. So just think of this limit like withdrawing money from ATM. There is a limit on the amount of money you could take from the machine at a time, despite it being your own account. The same principle would be applied here. No, the Walt Disney Company is not owned by the Department of Justice, but they too, like an ATM, can restrict just how much access a company can get. But I'm starting to see some glazed looks in the audience, so I'll try to move faster for you all. With this new fantastic point of view, I can open your eyes to a whole new world, where the Walt Disney Company will be monitored more, which will prevent them from consolidating power from their competitors. In addition, these limitations will benefit their competitors because it will continue to promote competition. This increase in competition will push companies to take risks on new ideas and for new companies to be able to enter the market. And finally, prices will stay competitive because one company wouldn't be in charge of all of the prices moving forward. But I can't emphasize enough that we can't We can't back down. There's too much at stake. This is serious. No, we can't pretend that it's not happening in our own backyards, our own home plate. So in order to be a part of this solution, you simply have to wish upon a star. It makes no difference who you are. W, we're all in this together. As shown in the past with the Sherman antitrust law in Congress, monopolies have never been stopped by themselves. It takes a collective effort. I, inform. You are all now informed about this issue, so it's up to you to help spread the word about what's going on. S, send a letter to the Antitrust Division and encourage them to include these new amendments to their guidelines. I have included their address above. And H, help small businesses. You can do this by supporting the little guys, the indie movies, and the small companies who are trying to compete against Disney, so they have someone to compete against. So today, I have brought to your attention the approaching Disney monopoly. I've proposed a solution, illustrated its benefits, and provide you with a wish that you can use in order to be a part of this solution. Now, many of you here today may be having doubts about listening to this riffraff, street rat, scoundrel, with the lame Disney jokes, but I don't buy that. We can no longer sit in our towers just waiting for our lives to begin. So let us go off to our Neverland and make our own place where we can never allow Disney to become a monopoly. Thank you.
Great job, Charisma.
Then I gotta go after that, man.
So,
That ain't fair.
our sixth speaker for the evening is Keher Nayote. He's a sophomore majoring in electrical engineering. Keher plans to work in the audio field designing loudspeakers after graduation. His instructor is Tom Stuckey. The title of his speech tonight is The State of Healthcare in America. Let us all welcome Keher to the stage.
The state of healthcare in America is abysmal. And this is something that affects each and every one of you. And not just you, but everyone who you love and care about. Your friends, your family, your classmates. Now, at first glance, I might seem like yet another millennial complaining about something else. And that's fair, I am. But I have a lot of personal experience with this. I myself haven't got healthcare for the past few years, and that includes the time that I worked at a retail store full-time with employer-offered healthcare. I still couldn't afford it. My sister is soon to be in the same boat. She's a student at Georgetown University getting a master's in public health policy. And talking to her, I was able to learn a lot about healthcare in this country and the rest of the world. So today, I'll be talking to you about the current state of American healthcare, a proposed solution to fix this problem, how this would benefit all of us, and what you can do to help with that. So let's start with the numbers. According to the New England Journal of Medicine, the US spends $9,000 per person on healthcare, and that amounts to about 17% of our GDP. Now, without context, those numbers are a bit meaningless. So the Commonwealth funded a study comparing our country and healthcare spending to the rest of the world. And you can see that we spend not just more than any other country, but significantly more. France is the next highest spender at about 11% of their GDP. That's 6% less than us. And even with all this money we spent on healthcare, not all Americans are covered. Currently, 11% of Americans, nearly 12%, still don't have health insurance. And that number was significantly higher in 2013 before the American Care Act was put through. It was at 18%. And you would think, or you would hope, that with all this money being spent, we would have great health care. Well, for a majority of us, that's just not true. And especially when you compare America to the rest of the world, we fall flat on our face. The World Health Organization did a study, and they found that the US is ranked last among wealthy nations in terms of quality of health care. Our infant mortality rate is higher than a lot of other countries, and for the first time since 1993, the life expectancy in this country dropped, according to the CDC. And this is ludicrous. We're the wealthiest nation in this world by far, not just in this world, in the history of the world. And yet we can't do something as simple as provide health care to our citizens. You're also going to have 25% of all senior citizens go bankrupt due to healthcare costs. That means out of your 4 grandparents, one of them is statistically likely to go bankrupt due to healthcare costs. And a Harvard study showed that 45,000 people per year die due to lack of accessible healthcare. So what do we do? How can we fix this? I think the solution and answer lies in Germany. Germany has a very unique healthcare system set up. It's a mixed public and private healthcare system. If you make under $50,000 a year, you have publicly funded healthcare, universal healthcare coverage from the government. If you make over $50,000 a year, you have the option to have private healthcare. You can choose your own doctors, your own hospitals, et cetera, et cetera. And the rest of the system is set up kind of in this very splitting evenly way as well. If you get injured on the job, for example, your employer would cover those healthcare costs. If you need long-term care, half the money comes from your employer, half from a universal healthcare coverage. And lastly, if you need any other sort of healthcare, the government takes care of it. Now, the big worry in America is that this is going to cost us more money. We don't like taxes, especially anything involving more taxes, which is fair. And Germany spends about 70%, the government, pays for about 70% of all healthcare spending in Germany. And that number might seem high, but according to the American Journal of Public Health, currently the US government spends 64% of all of the money in healthcare between Medicare, Medicaid, and the Veterans Affairs. And the same study also found a hidden cost in American healthcare. That is administrative costs. 31% of all healthcare costs in the US comes from administrative costs. And that's due to how incredibly complex our system is. You have many insurance companies, many employers, many hospitals, many deals between them. And to work through all these people and systems and setups and programs and things requires so much person power. And thus you have a very high administrative cost. If we were to streamline and condense our system like Germany does, it's more simple, it would reduce administrative costs. And whatever minor higher taxes we might have to pay would end up being inconsequential because of the amount we're saving on overall healthcare. And the evidence speaks for itself. The Commonwealth Fund found that Germany has the most restriction-free and consumer-oriented healthcare in the world. They only spend $4,000 per capita and only 11% of their GDP. And I think this quote from the Commonwealth Fund is one of the most important ones. Those are words and phrases that we love here in America, that we think we always want and have. But currently in healthcare, we don't. Now, it's hard to overstate the benefits of having better healthcare for all. Aside from the obvious, your costs would go down and you would have better healthcare, there are a couple other hidden benefits. First off, it actually helped people climb out of poverty. It helped them climb the socioeconomic ladder. When you are not spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars per month on healthcare, you can use that money to save for yourself, your future. You can invest in your future or your children's future in terms of education. You can maybe buy a house, you can maybe buy real estate. And all of those things help people come out of poverty and better themselves in their lives. Another benefit is your career. Currently, when you work, when you have a job someday with your employer, you're going to have healthcare coverage through them. And should you ever want to change jobs, maybe take a risk and go to a small startup across the country, or maybe even start your own business, it's extremely difficult to do so. Because not just are you leaving your job and your income, you're also leaving your healthcare. You don't know if the new healthcare policy you get is going to be as good as the one before, or maybe it's going to be more expensive. Or if you have a family, you want to start your own business, suddenly your family doesn't have healthcare anymore. But by having universal healthcare coverage, those problems are eliminated, and it would help make America a country of great entrepreneurs, as it's always been. So what can you do about this? How can you, as a single person, take on this complex, gargantuan issue? And the simple answer is to do the thing that makes this and every other democratic country great, and that is to vote. We and everyone in this room has the power to vote. We can demand that our government fix this problem by demanding universal health care coverage. I came across a fantastic resource in my research. It's called Demand Universal Health Care. It's a website, and there they will break down candidates by state whose primary goal is to one of their primary objectives is to have universal health care for this country. They also have articles and links that help explain healthcare in America, explain current policies and future policies, and they'll tell you how they impact you and everyone around you. In conclusion, I talked to you about the current state of American healthcare, a proposed solution to fix that based upon Germany's system, and the benefits of doing so. And I strongly implore you today, when you go home tonight, take some time to think about this. Look at this, use this resources, do your own research, and truly try to understand why universal healthcare is beneficial to not just you, but to everyone. And I think if we do implement that in this country, we can make this country great, not just for a few citizens, but for every single citizen.
So our final speaker for the evening is Connor Garlits. He's a sophomore majoring in political science and economics. Connor wants to become a political campaign manager after graduation. His instructor is Mcmurray, and the title of his speech tonight is Gun Reform in America. Let's make Connor feel welcome.
Former Supreme Chief Justice Warren Burger was a conservative judge appointed to the Supreme Court by Republican President Richard Nixon. In 1991, he gave an interview in which he said this: "The gun lobby's interpretation of the Second Amendment is one of the greatest pieces of fraud, I repeat the word fraud, on the American people by special interest groups I have ever seen in my lifetime." Now, before we can actually get into the nuts and bolts of the Second Amendment and guns in our society, we have to just address the fact that we are living on just simply different planes when it comes to this issue. So to demonstrate this, I want you to just simply raise your hand for me if you or your family owns a firearm. All right, now raise your hand if you don't own a firearm, but you have fired one. And then raise your hands if you have never fired a firearm. Now, these three different groups of people that we all saw raise their hand represents just fundamentally different, inherently different relationships to firearms on a personal and societal scale, one that we need to bridge. And I mean, I believe I'm worth listening today, as I've taken the time to read the 5 Supreme Court cases on the Second Amendment. But furthermore, I, like all of you, live in this society today. I see the devastation that's happening to guns, with guns in our society, to each other. And this is something we all have a stake in. So today, hello, I'm Connor Garlits, and I'm gonna show you the devastation that's happening in our society associated with firearms and how we can help mitigate future harm by defining the scope of the Second Amendment through the Supreme Court or constitutional amendment. But before we can get to these lofty goals and these end results, we need to just agree that there's a problem here, that there's a base reality that we can agree upon so that we can address this issue. So, Mother Jones, using the CDC data from 2013, found a correlation between states with higher gun ownership and higher gun-related deaths. Now, this pattern you see here can also be played out on an international scale, which was found by Josh Tewksbury, who's a global hub director for Future Earth, and they work for global sustainability in a multitude of different policy areas. And you can see it plays out pretty much similarly with one major outlier, us, the United States. And when you take a look at us, a closer look at us, the CDC in 2014, which is our last finalized years of gun statistics in our country, found that there's about 33,600 gun-related deaths. Of those, 2/3 we don't hear about often, suicides. Under the age of 18, the Brady campaign, which is a campaign for gun reform, found that under the age of 18, 82% of suicides use firearms from within their own home, regardless of how well they were stored. The other third that we see here are accidental discharges, war-related deaths, and over 11,000 homicides. These are the ones we hear about on TV all the time. And when we often hear these on TV, we hear that common talking point that a good guy with a gun is what it takes to stop a bad guy with a gun. The FBI would beg to differ, as they've looked at 160 active shooting incidences between the years 2000 and 2013 and found that that is one of the least likely ways you're going to stop a gun. You are 4 times more likely to be the man from the Waffle House yesterday in Tennessee than you are to be an armed citizen and to stop an active shooting. Now, this is terrifying to think that these are so far out of our control. There's not much we can do about it once they begin. And when we take a look at gunviolence.org, who's been tracking gun-related statistics since 2013, our past 3 calendar years have had about 1 mass shooting a day. Mass shooting being 4 or more people injured or killed in a single shooting. Now, if you actually calculate that out, that's a 97% chance of a mass shooting happening somewhere in our country every single day for the past 3 calendar years. So to say that there's not devastation that's not related to firearms in our country how can we make that argument as a country, as a people, to each other? What can we do on this issue that's so entrenched in our very nature of being an American? Well, there are a couple different legal avenues we can take, first of which is through state legislation, as many see this as a states' rights issue. Now, if we take a look at the Gifford Law Center, which gives an annual scorecard on each state's gun control policies, you'll see that Illinois, right next to us, has a pretty good rating, but all 5 states around it average a D. So no matter what you do in a state, when you're trying to do the right thing, if your neighbors are not doing their part, all it takes is crossing a state line to bring a firearm back into this state. So until we can get all 50 states to at least be on a relatively similar page on this issue, state legislation doesn't seem to be the way that we're going to fix this. So perhaps we need a blanket federal legislation to cover this issue. And we have that in H.R. 5087, which is an assault rifle ban, which was proposed actually late February of this year. Now, in this ban, there are some obvious holes and just legal flaws in the way that they wrote it out. Specifically, one that I found was it talked about the Ruger Mini 14 tactical rifle being subject to this assault rifle bans. And I'm betting you could probably tell which is which. Now, the other model there is the ranch model. It shoots the same caliber bullet at the same rate, it has the same size magazine, and there are only aesthetic difference where one would be completely untouched by this regulation. So if we're not going to do it all the way, what are we doing? And furthermore, this is made even more moot when we see that the FBI in 2016 found that 2/3 of homicides using guns were handguns. That doubles all other forms of firearms combined. So if we can't go through state or federal legislation, we need to keep going up to the Supreme Court. And on that issue, there have been 5 major cases on the Second Amendment before the Supreme Court. Only one has gone against gun rights. 4 have gone for it. But if we take a look at 2008 DC versus Heller, which is the most recent and influential on today's politics and policy and debate on this subject, on page 2 of the Supreme Court syllabus, you'll read a passage that says, like most rights, the Second Amendment right is not unlimited. It is not the right to keep and carry any weapon whatsoever in any manner whatsoever for whatever purpose. The Supreme Court is clear. There is a line, there is an edge to how far the Second Amendment can apply. Now it's just our job as citizens to define that edge. So we can either do this through a generation of proposing legislation, forcing it to the Supreme Court and having them piece it together every single case at a time, or we can simply define where that line is by amending the Constitution. Now, I've put together just a potential 28th Amendment on propositions that are all largely agreed upon across this country. And it could read something along this line, where you have to be 21 years of age to own a firearm, subject yourself to both a criminal and a mental health examination. All firearms being sold must be registered and must be sold by the registered owner, be that a person or a corporation. Now, could you imagine? This is not asking much. These are little additions to our gun laws in this country that can do so much. We just saw what happened at the YouTube headquarters. How many times have we not heard about people coming home to domestic abusive relationships and falling victim to the hand of their partner? Or we don't have to worry about coming to school. A week ago today, legislation just like this in Vermont stopped a kid whose diary was titled The Journal of an Active Shooter, and his goal was to have the largest school shooting in our history. Using laws like this, they kept a rifle out of his hand. So, what can we do? What can you do to help me get to this point? But I need you guys all to join me in this, because this is not something I can stand up here and preach and have the world change. It takes all of us. So the first thing you need to do is vote in this upcoming election. I'm sure any of the speakers today or me can help you register if you don't know how to register. This is a huge election, and our generation is the X factor. Where we vote, our representation will lie. But don't wait till the election. Call your representatives. Go to ian.gov, and they'll help you find out everybody you need to know. Furthermore, join a movement. Don't just let your representative know. Let each other know that you're out here for this issue and you're willing to stand up so your friends will stand up. And then finally, if you want to be on social media, I invite you to join me at Jaguar Advocacy on Facebook, a page I created. And if I get 25 people to do this, we're going to take a day and organize a day where we're going to just bombard our legislators with calls on this subject. We will make sure they will hear us from the state of Indiana. So, I'm hoping today I have shown you just the devastation associated with firearms in our society. I hope I laid out 4 potential avenues in which we need to pursue all of for us to be able to move the needle on this issue. But when it comes down to it, with a 97% chance of a mass shooting happening somewhere in our country today, it's not a matter of if, but when gun reform becomes a reality in America. Thank you.
We had an incredible group of speakers tonight, so I'd ask all of us to give them another round of applause. And I have several more things for us to talk about before we get voting started. The first thing, if you have not registered with the lab to take your speech final, you need to do that tonight. You should have a link of that in an email or on Canvas, so you need to get signed up for your final. Additionally, if you have not signed in on one of our kiosks and you need attendance points, or if your instructors have asked you to be here tonight, that is the only way that they will know that you were here. So do not leave without signing in on a tablet. Before I remind us again about how we are going to vote, I would like to introduce tonight's interlude performers. On a side note, Acapella Group, and they can come up here and get settled on stage as I talk through voting. So as we now begin the final voting for our speech contest tonight, we remind you to be consistent with your voting and rank all contestants 1 through 7. Use the SurveyMonkey link at the bottom of your judging sheet or on the screens behind me to access a place to vote. Please log into SurveyMonkey and record your 1 through 7 ranking that should be mirrored on your judging sheet, and make sure to submit your vote. You will have until the end of the interlude to record your vote. While voting, we ask that you be respectful as you quietly vote and watch and listen our wonderful voting interlude. Without further ado, this is On a Side Note, Acapella Group.
All right, yeah, we're on a side note. Thank you. This first song is called Ain't My Fault by Zara Larson. Here we go.
Please don't blame me for whatever happens next. No, I can't be responsible if I get you in trouble now. See, you are too irresistible. Yeah, that's for sure. But if you put your hands where my eyes can't see, and you're the one who's got a hold on me, no, I can't be responsible. It ain't my fault. No, baby. It ain't my fault, babe. It ain't my fault. You came in looking like a snatch, and you just made me trip and fall into your trap. Certain bad boy smooth, and your body so hot. I don't mean to be rude. I just like you a lot. Ain't got time right now. Miss me with that. What's your name? Your sign right now. It's light outside. I just called an Uber and it's right outside. Oh my God, what is this? I showed you to share this with I insist. Please don't blame me for whatever happens next. No, I can't be responsible if I get you in trouble now. See, you're too irresistible. Yeah, that's for sure. But if you put your hands where my eyes can't see, so you're the one who's got a hold on me. No, I can't be responsible. It ain't my fault. No, baby.
Ain't my fault, baby.
1, 2, 3. Your body's calling me, and I know wherever it is exactly where I want to be. So don't blame me.
All right, a real quick announcement. Again, we are on a side note. If you guys would like to follow us on social media, we're on Facebook and Instagram also. Just search on a side note, IUPUI will show up. That'd be awesome because we're trying to grow. Let's see, our next song is Elastic Heart. So here we go.
And another one bites the dust. Oh, why can I not conquer love? I might have thought that we were one. Wanted to fight this war with weapons. And I wanted it bad. But there were so many red flags. And another one bites the dust. Yeah, let's be clear, I trust no one. You did not break me. I'm still fighting for peace. 'Cause I've got thick skin and an elastic heart. But your blade of my feet too sharp. I'm like a rubber band until you pull too hard. Yeah, I may snap and I move fast. You won't see me fall apart. 'Cause I've got an elastic heart. I've got an elastic heart. Yeah, I've got an elastic heart. And I will stay up through the night. Yeah, let's be clear, won't close my eyes. And I know that I can survive. I'll walk through fire to save my life. And I want my life so bad. I'm doing everything I can. And another one bites the dust. It's hard to lose a chosen one. You did not break me. too hard. Yeah, I may snap and I move fast, you won't see me fall apart. 'Cause I've got an elastic heart. No, whoa, no, whoa, no. I've got thick skin and an elastic heart, but your blade it might be too sharp, but like a rubber band until you pull too hard. Yeah, I may snap and I move fast, you won't see me fall apart. 'Cause I've got an elastic. I know I won't give up.
All right, one more real quick announcement. We have a concert coming up on April 29th, and it's here at the Campus Center, just in the basement, so all the way down there. It would be awesome if you guys come. There's free pizza. It starts at 3 p.m., so this Sunday, if you want to add that to your calendars, that'd be awesome. We would like to get a good turnout. We're going to have another group from downtown Indy. They're not college students, but they're like semi-professional. They just won like a nationwide competition, so they're way better than us also. So it'd be awesome to get people to come watch them because they're really good. So our next song is Jesse's Girl. Here we go. One, two, three. Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl and I wanna make her mine. 'Cause she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving him with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. And I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that? I go along with the charade. There doesn't seem to be a reason to change. No, I feel so dirty when they start talking cute. I wanna tell her that I love her, but the point is probably moot. And she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving him with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that, like Jesse's girl? I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like? Where can I find a woman like that? And I'm looking in the mirror all the time, wondering why she don't see in me. I've been funny, I've been cool with the lines. Ain't that the way love's supposed to be? Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that, like Jesse's girl? I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I Thank you. And we have one more song for you. So, our last song is a mashup of two different songs, Guys My Age and Girls Your Age. So, without further ado, here it is. We just call it Guys Girls. So, here's Guys Girls.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Running from innocence like it's a lion, nipping at my heels, but I'm young, so I outrun 'em. Jailbait, baby, young men in their 20s. Cupid shooting arrows, but I'm cold, so I outgun 'em. Bad boy, talking fast, talking dirty. He tells me that I'm hot, so I tell him that I love him. He's holding me like a woman, in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to hold on, and it makes me want to be all yours.
Girls your age never read what they say.
I've got a renegade heart,
And it's screaming your name, but then it beats like you've got time to kill. Baby, don't go jump the gun. Live fast while you're young, honey.
don't go chasing love, chasing love.
Don't go chasing. Whoa. Don't go da 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 da. Whoa. Oh, 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 oh. Don't go whoa. Oh, 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 oh. Da 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 da. Wa na 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 na. Wa na 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 na.
Guys my age don't know how to treat me, don't know how to treat me, don't know how to treat me. Guys my age don't know how to love me, don't know how to love me good. Haven't seen my ex since we broke up, probably 'cause he didn't want to grow up. Now I'm out and wearing something low cut, about to get attention from a grown up. Don't come back with the next one, maybe she'll be just as immature. Gotta think of he's a reason, but I now know what I'm looking for. Guys my age don't know how to treat me, don't know how to love me good. I've got a renegade heart that is screaming your name, so I'm
Okay, could I have your attention, please? Okay, this is the moment that we have spent our evening getting ready for. And before, as we're finaling our tally over here with our winners of our event tonight, I would like to finally thank some people just really quickly that have helped us put this event on. This speech night that we have now, our 94th, has taken about 6 months of planning to get to this point tonight. And of course, it took us all semester to get our contestants. And so all of you in the room, most of you, other than guests, have also participated in this great competition that we have. And so we thank you as well, not only for being student judges tonight. We had 600 and some people vote tonight, which is awesome. Give yourself a hand for that. Help us pick our winner. You're not in Guinness Book of World Records because 612, you didn't meet that, so that was last time. So just try a little harder. That's it. But I would like to thank some people here really quick, and not only all the people that helped us in the planning stage, but we'd like to, we couldn't do this without Dr. Christine Karnik, our chair. She's helped us tremendously, given us all the support that we need to put this event on, and helped us with all of the planning that we've had, so we thank her very much. Of course, our contestants, they were fabulous as always. Every year I say they can't get any better, and they do. And they're just always tremendous when we get to this point. To me, as an instructor of R110, and to you as students, when we first tell you, when you enter those classrooms, that you're going to get better, and you have all that fright and anxiety, and nobody wants to take the class, and then you get to this point, and you know what? You're this good. And it's just really quite a pleasure for us to see the improvement each semester in all of our students. And that's what's so pleasing to all of my instructors who teach this course. If they didn't want to do it and they didn't have the heart to make you better, they would be doing something else with their time. So I also want to thank all of them, all of our fine instructors, and they're all selected and they do a wonderful job for us. So we want to thank them as well. Of course, I couldn't go without thanking my wonderful Speakers Lab, group of people that were in our black shirts tonight that helped you sign in. If you haven't signed in, they'll have our devices out there. We'll use that for registering you and send that to your instructors. So those of you that need attendance, proof of attendance here tonight, we'll do that for you, and that'll be accomplished in the next day or so. So you don't have to do anything else other than just put your username into that if you haven't done that so far. Those of you that are guests, you can't register, you don't need to. We know that you're here, so we appreciate you, family and friends, also being here tonight. We also want to thank the Acapella Group, which just performed for us, and they were absolutely awesome. And I have to, they were, let's give them applause. This is fantastic. When we decided several years ago to turn this over totally as a student event, it's always been a student event, but we wanted it to be a total student event. And that means the Speakers Lab people are involved from the very beginning in helping process the outlines in the quarterfinal round. We have, of course, you as students, you're our event. And then we also have our student groups that not only help us sponsor TCN, which is in your program, the Communication Network. We also have Model UN, which has been a student sponsor of ours. And then, of course, we have our Acapella Group. And I have to tell just a slight little story about them. And that is a couple years ago, when I first recruited them, they were all freshmen, at least 2 of them that started this group. And I met them out in the campus when they were signing up for all the clubs. And I walked to this table and I said, "So what do you do?" And they said, "Well, we're an a cappella group." And I said, "What is that?" I never heard of it. I didn't know. They go, "Well, we have do sounds and we sing without instruments." And I said, "Okay, well, would you like to perform at speech night this fall?" And they said, "Well, we don't even have any members yet." And I said, "That's all right. You will have." "Really?" And I said, "You have to have faith." Well, we have faith because faith works. Where's faith? Faith works in our Speakers Lab. So we also have hope, And of course, we have to have that other name, Charisma, too. So, Charisma, come on over. And so, anything that's a speech-related name, we're going to start hiring them as mentors in the Speakers Lab. So you, Bobs, and, Toms and Steves, sorry, not hiring you. We just want Speakers Lab names. So anyway, Faith, we have her. And then, of course, the last person, not the last, but we have our wonderful mentors. But I also want to thank our world-famous electric cellist that has been playing for us all night long. Let's thank her. She's just awesome. Her name is Julia Dwyer. She's in the program. You can see her biography, but she's so shy that she didn't want to tell you everything about where she's been. And of course, she delayed her world tour to be with us tonight, and she came to us all the way from an R110 public speaking class. So, thank you, Julia. Now, if we could we're ready to start our awards, and we'd like to have all of our contestants and their instructors come to the stage, if we could, please. And so just come on up and line up on the stage. Contestants, you can come this way if you'd like. You can come up this way. Yep, you're the... Yeah, here we go. You finished with it? Got them all on stage? Okay, so we're award ceremony. Very cool. The first thing I'd like to do before we announce our final winners is I'd like to present our finalist medals and awards to our contestants and their instructors. And I'm going to read off their names, and so you can bring up the medals and awards if you could, and start placing those as I read their names. In no particular order tonight, but in the order of speaking, we had Lauren Harris, and her instructor was Moffett Craig. Moffett Craig, a few years ago, well, I think it was 2 years ago, as a matter of fact, was up here on stage and won an award for 40 years in teaching R110 here at our university. And that's quite an honor and quite a tribute to her. Our second speaker tonight, finalist, was Brady Smith. And Brady Smith, his instructor was Mr. Russ Kennedy. And Russ is one of our fine teachers that's here within our department. He also had another speaker in the contest, and that was Samantha Sam Sapanic, and Russ is also her instructor. Our fourth speaker tonight was Abigail Hadley, and Abigail, what a wonderful thing. Here's another double major student. I mean, come on, I couldn't hardly even pass college, let alone having 2 majors. I had a minor. I think it was like doing no homework. Yeah. Whatever. And so, but Abigail, she's one of those 2 or 3 majors. We didn't even ask her how many minors she had, but I'm sure there's 4 or 5 of those. And her instructor was Desi Burnett. And so, thank you to her. Our next speaker was Charisma Mcmurray, and Charisma professor was Roger Johnson. And then we had Keener, I probably said your name wrong, Niote. If that's wrong, well, sorry.
I'm used to it.
Hey, it'll be over pretty soon. And then he can hit me. And his professor was Tom Stuckey, sorry. I'm just messing up everywhere. That's okay. And Connor, I misspelled your name here when I did the program, but that's okay. Connor Garlits, and his instructor was Professor Mark McClary. So those were our finalists tonight, and they're standing before you with their awards. And so we thank them tremendously. Now we get to sorry, bite your nails. I already did that before this contest. And so we get to the point where unfortunately, we have just our 3 people that are our runner-up, and second runner-up, our first runner-up, and our winner. And so I'd like to announce those at this time. And so our second runner-up tonight in our 94th speech contest is Sam Samantha Spence. And her instructor is Russ Kennedy. Oh, wow. And our runner-up tonight in our speech contest is Brady Smith, and his instructor is Russ Kennedy. And happy birthday to Russ Kennedy. This is his birthday tonight, so happy birthday. I'm sure this is a birthday he will not forget anytime soon. And I won't either, so I'll always know what his birthday was. And our winner tonight, voted by you, the audience, the students that have taken our 110, that have judged, Monroe's motivated sequence, is Charisma Mcmurray. And her instructor is Mr. Roger Johnson. Drive safe, study hard. Don't forget that final speech.